Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5, taking a very first look at the brand new European Automotive car pack that arrives as part of the Series 31 update with the theme of, you'll never guess this, European Automotive. Apart from the usual playlist prize vehicles and what has become the usual car pack, there have also been a number of new Event Lab props added in this update, which I will be taking a closer look at in its own video. But for today, let's focus on what is possibly the best paid car pack added so far. The easiest way to purchase this pack, now that the game actually allows you to, because it didn't when it was initially supposed to, is to head to any festival site or house in-game, go across to the Buy and Sell tab, go to Car Packs, and here you'll find the European Automotive Car Pack. The pack is priced at £3.59 or equivalent and contains 3 new cars and a piece of recycling from Forza Motorsport. So let's just gloss over the Automobili Pininfarina Barista, which, as its name suggests, is an Italian coffee machine that happens to also be ridiculously heavy, and move on to the actual cars in the pack, which are truly amazing. They are the truly beautiful ultimate Grand Tourer that is the Bentley Continental GT Convertible, the incredible Jaguar XE Project 8, which I absolutely love, and the achingly awesome Mercedes-Benz AMG Hammer Wagon. Let's begin then with the simply stunning Bentley Continental GT Convertible, which has a name almost as long as the car itself. Out of all of the cars in the pack, this is probably the one I would most like to actually own and drive on a daily basis in reality. May I also just say that it is about time we got this newer shaped Continental in Forza. I did actually predict this as coming to the game way back before the game even launched, although admittedly that was as a car to be in the car list from day one rather than 2 years later. And it is especially good to have the convertible version of this car, which is the one I would probably have. Being the convertible version of the Bentley Continental GT, the most important question is, of course, can you put the roof up and down here in Horizon 5? And yes, you can. Although for some reason it doesn't have a proper animation for the roof. The screen just dips to black and reappears with the roof up or down, which I thought was usually just what they did for Targa tops and things that are just removed manually rather than roofs that have a proper mechanism. I kind of feel like if it's in a paid pack, it would have been nice if they bothered to make an animation for it. Anyway, on to stats and figures of the car itself. Its humongous 6-litre W12 power plant produces a huge 626 horses and 900 torques, propelling it incredibly quickly to your destination in unparalleled levels of comfort. In fact, by the start-finish line here at Petroleum Park, the Bentley was already doing 150 miles per hour. It's also all-wheel drive. The only thing that really lets it down, apart from appallingly massive use of fuel, is the sheer size and weight of it, which contributes to that use of fuel, weighing in at nearly 2.5 tons. And this is quite noticeable. It's the only car so far that I've lapped around this circuit that can't take this corner flat out without hitting the dirt on the outside. This is also probably why here in Forza Horizon 5 it's right down in the middle of A-Class at 759 PI. As you might expect, the Bentley has some stunning manufacturer colours. There's the sort of silvery white that it was of course first advertised in, the yellow, which is the colour I've gone for because I think it looks incredible, but I do also love this slightly lighter of the two blues, and this orange, and I actually quite like this sort of kiwi coloured green. I hate the horrible beige colour, but there is also a very nice dark blue, a bright red if you want a sort of more sporty look, and a darker silver. So yeah, that's why I've gone for the yellow on this one. In terms of further customization and upgrades, there are actually a few options. There are several engine swaps, including a 5.2 litre V10 from a Lamborghini, a 3 litre inline 6, a W12 twin turbo, which I can only assume is from the older Bentley, 7.4 litre V8 twin turbo, and a 7.7 litre V12, but I don't want to put any of those in the car, just like I don't really see why you'd want to rear-wheel drive convert it. There are, though, some aero options. For one, there is a sort of Bentley kit, which adds some, well, a slightly bigger front splitter, but the Forza aero on the front of this also doesn't look terrible, mostly down to the fact there is no visible tow hook, which I'm not really sure why they haven't got that. But for now I'm going to put the Bentley front splitter on, just like I'm going to do the same at the back with the Bentley rear wing. There is of course also that monstrosity, and there is a similar carbon sort of diffuser at the rear, and carbon side skirts at the side, which I think slightly improves the appearance of the car all around. Apart from that though, it's all pretty standard. You've got your track width increasing things, which actually make it very wide at the back. You can of course also increase your tyre widths, change tyre compounds and wheels, which I will not be doing, upgrade some of the drivetrain, some of the platform and handling, which if you go full weight reduction brings weight down to 1,887 kilos, so you can make it under 2 tons, but it's still not exactly a light car. And there are your usual engine upgrades, so if you really wanted to, you could fit it with the horrible anti-lag. Next then, we move on to the Jag, which you are seeing from bonnet cam because loud supercharger noises. Just listen to it. In many ways, this car makes no sense at all. When new, it was a ridiculously expensive 4-door saloon with an option of having no back seats. Now, as a used car, it's an even more ridiculously expensive 4-door saloon with potentially still no back seats. That, though, is kind of what makes it incredible, the pure insanity of it. It is also the sort of ultimate fun track toy to make a lot of noise with. For some reason, though, the one they've put in-game does have the back seats, and I'm not sure why they chose that version for a racing game, where seats are of no use whatsoever to anybody, but a lower weight would have made it drive nicer. Especially as with those useless seats in the back, it weighs in at over 1,700 kilos, which is quite heavy for what's supposed to be a light track car. Although, having said that, in stock configuration, I think this is potentially the best car I've driven in this game. It just has grip forever, and despite being all-wheel drive, it doesn't really understeer as much as you might expect. It does, though, produce 592 horsepower and 701 torques from its 5-litre V8 engine, and that combined with the all-wheel drive system gives this car a stock PI rating of S1 730. Just like the Bentley, the Jag is available in a plethora of brilliant colours, some of which have a leaping Jaguar on the side. So you have the sort of standard blue that it was advertised in, you can have that without the graphics on, then you have the red without graphics, this sort of silvery grey, again with and without graphics, there's a silvery white that you can have with and without graphics, a sort of more matte white with and without graphics, a black, and orange, which is the one I've gone for, of course with the leaping Jaguar graphic, because that's just incredible. There's another silvery colour, and, well, that's it. So there's less variety in colours to the Bentley, but there are still a lot of options. In terms of further customisation and upgrades, there are also a few options for this car. There's a few engine swaps. There's a V10, again from the Lambo. There's a 6.5-litre V12, 7.7 V12, and a racing V12. Don't know why you'd want any of those. Again, there's a rear-wheel drive conversion if you want to make it slidey. And there are some aero options. One of them is to sort of remove the extended splitter at the front, and one of them's to add a Forza splitter, which does, again, have the tow hook, but it's in the correct place, so that kind of doesn't look too awful, but I am going to leave this standard. At the rear, you can change the big wing for a little sort of lip spoiler, or you can do that, or you can de-wing it completely. So there are a few options there, but I'm going to have to keep the wing. It says Project 8 on it, it's brilliant, so I can't lose that. There are your usual track widths options, which always improve the stance of the car slightly. You can, of course, increase the width of the tyres, change your compounds, upgrade your transmission-y bits, upgrade the platform and handling bits. Full weight reduction brings weight down to 1,400 kilos, which is still too heavy for a track car, really. And there are many upgrades here. It, of course, has a supercharger, so you can't fit it with anti-lag, but you can potentially make it sound even more superchargery.
Hammer time!
And last but very much not least, the long-awaited Mercedes-Benz AMG Hammer Wagon, which was scanned so long ago that mammoths still roamed the earth, which coincidentally this probably weighs more than. But it is also cooler than the Ice Age that it was scanned during. This of course is in many ways very similar to the AMG Hammer Coupe we already have in-game. It puts out the same 379 horses and 566 torques as that car does, all through its rear wheels, just like in that car. All that power comes from the same almost 6-litre engine, which is nearly as big in capacity as the 12-cylinder in the Bentley. However, the Hammer Wagon has ant buttons in the centre console, which are not present in the coupe, and being a larger bodied car, it of course weighs a little bit more, about 100 kilos more to be exact, at 1,726, which interestingly is still less than the Jag weighs, and that, like I said, is supposed to be a light track car. When you go round corners though, the Hammer has body roll that puts the Leaning Tower of Pisa to shame, and in the first corner of my track, it did try to kill me. It's in no way the best performing car in the pack then, but for sheer fun.
Can't touch this.
Anyway, this means that overall the Hammer is rated at B675 from standard here in Forza Horizon 5. So unlike the previous two cars, which had many paint options, the Mercedes AMG Hammer Wagon doesn't, and that's why it's in this rather strange blue colour, because for some reason that is the only manufacturer colour. So I think we should fix this. There's only one colour this car can really be. Perfect. Unfortunately, just like with it only having one manufacturer colour, there aren't exactly loads of options in the upgrade shop either. There's your usual Forza Aero at the front and rear, but there's no kind of wider wide body like was available on the Hammer Coupe. There are some engine swaps. There's the V10 again, a racing V8, a V12 and another V12, and there is an all-wheel drive conversion, but this car's fun and slidey, so I'm not going to do that. You can turbocharge it or supercharge it if you so wish, and you can of course bring your track width out, which does look slightly better. It potentially needs lowering as well to sit a little bit nicer, although then it would lose that incredible body roll that it has. It's got your usual drivetrain options, platform and handling, and engine options. Let's see quickly actually if we can... Yeah, again, you can take it down to about 1,400 kilos, but it's still quite heavy, so unfortunately I don't think any of the cars in this pack are going to be particularly competitive for any class of racing, but that's fine because they're all incredible as they are, as just fun standard cars to drive in their kind of current configuration. And that is going to be all for today's video, taking a very first look at the brand new addition to this game, the European Automotive paid car pack, which includes only 3 cars, but all of which are incredibly cool. So it is so far, I think, my favourite of these paid car packs, despite having the fewest number of new additions in it. But yeah, I have absolutely loved the Bentley, the Jag, and the AMG Hammer Wagon. Unfortunately though, I don't think they'll be particularly competitive for anything, but I don't really mind that, because I really enjoyed driving all of them stock, and I think they're just fun cars to have and go for a nice drive with. As ever, do let me know your thoughts on this pack and this update so far if you've tried it out. But for today's video, that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next one very soon.